Hello, everybody. Happy week. Happy fall start. I know many of you are getting into the rhythm of classes returning and faculty are busy and you all are probably going crazy in many ways. So I'm with you. I just want to offer my support, but I'm going to introduce myself. This is the first webinar that I'm holding, a recorded webinar for the month of August. My name is Jonathan Bernos. I'm your customer success manager. And this is going to be the first of many recorded webinars over the release notes. Today, I'm going to cover the July release notes, just a short recap. I'm really going to focus on the August release notes, which, thank goodness, they're a little bit shorter than last month. And I'm also going to cover a couple of the deploy notes. Today might be a little longer than usual, as I'm probably going to go into a little more detail about how some of these webinars are going to work and the resources that we'll have moving forward. So I want to introduce your Drive team, which you probably already know. I'm probably the only new face to the Drive team, but of course you guys know Laura Shevlin, who is our account executive for the region. These webinars are going to be state specific in that I'm going to send out a newsletter or an email that will have the timestamps into the material for the release notes. But I will be focusing on each state as far as a distribution list and those email addresses for the schools involved. End goal is for the region that I work in as the customer success manager, I want you guys to network with each other. I love, and I think that already happens in many of the states that I'm working in now in the Southeast, but I'm going to continue to foster that. I'm going to continue to promote it, and I am going to point you at other resources within the state, other institutions, because I think that's the best way to learn about best practices, to learn about what works, to gather resources and feedback about LTIs, integrations that are out there. And just to learn a little bit more about how we can use Canvas, how we can fully utilize that in new ways. So I'm excited for the year, excited to move into the region for the remaining part of this calendar year. But fall start, man, we're kicking things off. It's going to be wild and crazy. So Laura, of course, we have as our account executive. We also have Haley Carey on the renewals front. So if you have questions about contract or renewals, I'm going to bring her in. We've worked together for quite some time. And we also, we'll be adding another role, customer success advocate for many of you that will be working with me hand in hand. So you may see them from time to time or on communications emails. I'll introduce them once we've kind of finalized and I know more information. So yeah, so I'm excited again. I've been working for Instructure for 5 years, Canvas. I told many of you on calls that I'm starting to hit the sweet spot. So I am going to be reaching out to you all during the month to establish a welcome call just so you can get to know me. I may have questions for you to learn about configuration of Canvas and any other products you might be using. We're also going to use that time to kind of establish the resources that we'll use moving forward. Number one, the big one will be this recorded webinar. I want to promote the office hours. So I've decided that office hours are going to be the third week of every month, beginning this month. This will be next week is when we'll start our first round of office hours. Office hours are state specific. If we've had an opportunity to meet on an introduction call, some of you we've been able to talk. They're going to be state specific. I do have monthly themes. The theme for August is going to be support services. Next week, we'll talk more about support services that are included in your contract. We'll also talk a little bit about tips and tricks and escalation with support services. We'll have a general Q&A time. Most of the office hour session will be open, so you're welcome to bring in any questions you may have, just general Canvas questions, or if you have questions about other products and services, feel free to bring those in. You can also bring in workflow questions, and so if you're working through a scenario, if you have instructors that are reaching out about a particular functionality or item within their course, feel free to send them to office hours. I'm happy to cover that. If I can't answer it in the office hours, I'll definitely take notes and follow up with that instructor or faculty member, or I'll follow up with the administration. Office hours are going to be 60 minutes. Again, it's always going to be the third week of the month. They're going to be at 3:30 Eastern time. That's 2:30 Central time for me, 3:30 Eastern time for you, 3:30 to 4:30. It's always optional, so don't feel pressured to jump in to the office hours. This is going to be available for all administrators, Canvas administrators. It's available for Canvas faculty members that use Canvas, instructors, and so on. Please feel free to distribute this information. This slide also references or has links directly to the calendar invites. Third week of the month. Again, Alabama will be Monday, August 19th at 3:30 Eastern time. There's a link to the calendar invite there. The reason why I have to link to the invites, I can't send this out in mass distribution or a distribution list. I can't send this out by state there's too many people on it. So rather than send that out as a bulk email, which would be messy, I'm allowing you to reach out to me by request to be added to the calendar invite if you want a placeholder to remind you. If not, then I'm kind of relying on you all if you are interested in attending or distributing this to your other attendees or faculty members. I'm kind of putting the burden on you to do that, or you can use the calendar link here. It's a Google link. It will create a placeholder in your calendar that'll be a reminder. The call-in information is always going to be the same, except for South Carolina, the very first meeting, because the week was odd. The first meeting link is there. Every month after this, it will be the third Thursday. I realize that this is the fourth Thursday for South Carolina this week, or next week, I apologize. But next month, it will be the third Thursday of the month. So that second link, recurring South Carolina event, that second link is what you'll want to use as the placeholder. So Alabama, Monday, August 19th at 3:30. Georgia, Tuesday, August 20th at 3:30 Eastern. Florida, Wednesday, 8/21 at 3:30 Eastern. And South Carolina on Thursday, 8/22, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then next month, September, will be the third week of the month and every month after. So excited to have you guys there. I did this for the past 6 months in my previous territory. It worked very, very well. Hoping it becomes a networking opportunity for you with other instances, other schools. Happy to be there to facilitate or answer questions. So I'm big on show and tell. I grew up in Missouri, which is the show me state. And so I do like to show visually. I'm also a visual learner. So we tend to teach how we learn or best take in information. I'm a trainer at heart, so I will be a little more technical at times when we're walking through these release notes. If you have questions, of course, reach out to me by email. I'm happy to set up a separate time to walk through some of this, the information that we will show here on the recorded webinar. I'm going to do a newsletter and a recording once a month on the release notes and the deploys. I may from time to time, depending if there are any big changes with deploys or any changes to the release notes, I may do an amendment and send out a video that talks about any of those changes related. But usually it's going to be once a month. Please use this video as a resource. Find the material, find the releases that you're looking for, review them in depth so that you're ready for to be able to answer questions for your instructors, your faculty members, for your students. But also feel free to pull me in on any conversations you might have with them if you need to explain workflow or anything new that might be for them as they move through the semester. So happy to do that. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go into, again, the release notes for August. I'm going to talk through the release notes first. And then as we talk through the release notes, I'm also going to refer back to or move back to the deploy notes secondly, and then I will do a recap on the July release notes as well. So let me see here. All right, so we're going to jump into our August release notes. You'll find them here, just a couple down below the upcoming deploy notes. Release notes for August 17th. So that's coming up here in just a couple days. I will try to get these webinars out in advance, a few weeks in advance, or when the release notes are published, so you have time to test these in beta. It's always my goal. For most of the releases, 99.9%, you're going to find that they're out in your beta environment, so you are able to test 30 days in advance. If you're not familiar with release notes and the format and kind of how I'll guide you through these, release notes are summarized very nicely within these boxes. In the notes themselves, you'll notice that we have a summary box on top. It will tell you more pertinent information about the audience, who this impacts, if there's something needed to be able to enable this, or if it's going to be turned on just by default in production. You'll also see the notes around that. I do like how we color code the top of the boxes now, and depending on the release, you'll see again immediate impact or who this pertains to. The more colors, the more boxes, of course, you may have a larger impact. So I might cover those in a bit more detail than just some of the new enhancements and features that would only impact you as an administrator, or if you're an admin that's reviewing this. So let's go through some of the notes. There's not very many for August. And again, the date for production release is August 17th on these. Many of these have been in the beta environment for 15 to 30 days. For navigation, Lucid available in course navigation. So we did release the partnership with Lucid a number of months, I think about 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. This is just an enhancement. Yes, it is in the release notes. I would call this maybe more of a deploy since it's adjusting existing functionality. But Lucid integration will be enabled for when the Lucid integration is enabled for an institution, and some of you already have this turned on now over the last few months. What we're doing is we're adding the integration link for Lucid in the course navigation now. So again, running along the side, left side, you'll now see in addition to the links that you make visible to your students in a course, your instructors, you'll also see a link for Lucid if that's available or active in your account. So this can be turned off. It's enabling course navigation by default. Again, if you are using Lucid, it's there. Instructors can disable this at the course level if they decide they don't want this to be clutter or to be additional links. It's just part of the larger integration with Lucid is a very big tool that is integrated into the rich content editor. This is just another way to make it visible. So fairly small enhancement though. Again, might call it a deploy. Sometimes we do that. More feature options. So feature options, again, these are features or enhancements that can be turned on. You have the ability to control the on-off on these features. Feature options are also still in the oven. So if this is for baking bread, the bread's not quite done yet. So we're going to continue to enhance this over time, but you can use, or I guess, eat the bread as it is. So I guess it's not dough right now, but you can pull out a piece, even though it's in the oven still baking. I don't know, that's maybe should think about that analogy a little bit more. And again, in the box here, see this is an impact mainly on instructors. We'll take a look at, has been in beta for a month now. We'll be rolling into production on that 8/17 date. You do have to turn this on. It's part of your new quizzes settings. That's the affected areas. So disabled and unlocked. This is in order to enable this feature, this is within your account settings. You'll see the new quizzes permission or setting to be able to turn this on. So in new quizzes now, instructors can now customize feedback displayed to all students after they complete a quiz. So if this setting is turned on in your account settings within the course, the instructor now has the ability or the option to flip on the switch to show custom feedback with results. Of course, the custom feedback is generic for all completed quizzes. So this would show up at the end of the quiz and you can give additional instruction at that time. Again, it is a toggle switch. You'll see some other examples here in the notes of what that looks like when it is enabled here on the student end. And that's it. That's the end of our release notes for August. I know it's quick, right? Wasn't much there. I think that's because July was so big. We're going to recap July notes here in just a few moments. Before that, though, we're going to jump back into both of our deploys. The upcoming deploy is going to be July 31st, or I'm sorry, we're in August. That just happened. The other deploy that we'll also cover is the one that just happened. If you're watching this on Thursday, August 15th, or after, then this deploy happened on Wednesday, the 14th. We'll also quickly recap the deploy that occurred on July. I don't know where I'm at. It's hot in Florida, isn't it? It's the humidity that's getting me. Deploy notes that were on July 31st. Let's cover those first real quickly. This is a recap. July 31st, deploy notes. Remember, deploys happen twice a month. They're typically bug fixes and also will include enhancements to existing functionality. If you are ever curious, don't forget you have a calendar in the community that will log or show when the deploys occur and when the release notes will occur, and also the published date of the release notes. So this is the lead assignment calendar event. This is just additional verbiage that was added to the confirmed deletion modal text, updating just as an additional reminder that deleting the event will also delete the associated assignment. So a lot of these are just enhancements that are based on feedback. As we get more usage to something, if we can tweak it to make it just a little bit better, then we'll do that with the deploy. Also, files, the availability times have been added. It's a nice feature. This was related to an idea or feedback that was submitted from you all from the institution. And so within files now, when setting availability dates are selected, instructors now have the option to also set availability times. As you'll see the from time and the until time available there in the permission settings for files. And then also we have profile empty field text. So in the past, we haven't had anything display on empty fields. Now in a user profile, if fields are left empty, the text will indicate that information has not been provided to the field. So very simple, some minor adjustments here, but I think all positive here. Individual gradebook update. In the individual gradebook, the mute checkbox has been removed. Additionally, performance and maintenance enhancements are made to this area. So this is very, very minor, very small, but mute checkbox taken away from the gradebook settings. All right, let me jump into the next deploy, which is the one that just happened yesterday by my time, would be August 14th. Again, let's just skim through these notes. We have a few more changes here, but just to take a look at sub-account specific term filter. So this is when filtering by a sub-account. This is an admin only update. Again, so not large impact here, but as an administrator, when filtering by term on the sub-account course page, only the terms relevant to the sub-account course are going to be displayed. So just cuts down on what you'll see in that drop-down menu. Course setting end dates. This is adding a modal window or a warning box display that says if the course end date is set before the start date, the settings cannot be saved. So saves a little bit of confusion. If you tried to do that before, you notice you can't save, but really doesn't give a lot of indication of why. This is just highlighting, again, the dates are not matching up, which is why the course cannot be saved or you can't move forward. This one's a touchy topic. We can talk a little bit more about discussions. I know the discussions redesign there's been some challenges here. We've seen some changes over the last few months, which I'm still kind of getting up to speed on. But in discussions, instructors can now disallow threaded replies. You'll see within the workflow here in options, new checkbox here, disallow threaded replies. This adding a little bit of clarification or adding some modification to some previous enhancements or deploys or changes, let's call them changes to the discussions redesign. Definitely welcome to have side conversations about this. Nothing has been rolled back on the discussions redesign. Nothing has been pushed back as far as upcoming enhancements or changes that are on the roadmap, but also anything that has been released. We don't have any retraction of that, so we're moving forward with any of those releases. I know they have caused a little bit of concern and more questions, so happy to take some of those questions in my open office hours. Another thing I'm going to promote here, we're going to talk a little bit about open office hours that I'll have once a month for each state. We'll be publishing that this week as well. Here by tomorrow, you should have a calendar invitation for that. Line separation between posts. So this is within discussion. A line has been added to provide separation between the replies in the thread. Gradebook. Message student who updates. So in the gradebook, the default option for message students who has been changed to have not submitted. Additionally, the message student whose option is in the total columns has also been updated as well. So just small modifications to some of the default settings or display settings in the drop-down menu, but really no additional changes have been added or no additional changes to the verbiage. Really just the display once you move into that area. Navigation sections are added to the course tray. This is kind of a nice little feature. So within that course tray link and the flyout menu, you'll notice that sections are now displayed if those sections for the users are available. So that's nice with it. Adds information. That's been a question or kind of a point of feedback in the past on not being able to find that information quickly, especially in the flyout menu. So you see a couple of screenshots in here regarding that deploy. External apps migration progress modal. So we have a progress now on migration from 1.1 to 1.3 on those tools. Also clicking on the progress indicator within your external apps when that displays will also give you a migration process or show you where that is in the process of migration. So it's a nice little added feature, updated feature here for when it comes from 1.1 to 1.3 and some of those initiatives. Terms, we're looking at course links here. So on the terms page, the course relevant to the terms are now hyperlinked. That's a nice little added feature. Anytime we can hyperlink and remove steps to get to information, it's going to be a positive change. Courses, the show sections and course tray settings is also now available. So in the root account, show sections and course tray section setting is available. Account setting is enabled by default. You can disable it through those settings. Finally, permissions, we see Manage App List button permission to access the Manage App List button in the Settings app tab. Users must have the Manage LTI permission enabled for that. So it's also a small modification tied to permissions. Well, that is been tons of fun here reviewing those. Sorry for the scroll. I'm going to cover that up with some screenshots, so it shouldn't be too terrible. We're going to go back into the releases area, and I'm going to take a real quick look at July release. We're just going to look at them from this standpoint. I'm not going to go into detail. Typically, on a previous recording, I would go into detail, but given the state that we're in with the transition here in territories with our regions with customer success, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to real quickly recap the release notes here that we're viewing on the screen. We will see here July 20th was the last release. It was a very it was a pretty thick release. So inside of that release, we see many new features also regarding discussions. This ungraded discussions assigned to instructor, student. We do have changes to the functionality that was released in July. Pending means future enhancements or deploys will be making adjustments to that, as we discussed earlier. And more specific questions to discussions, happy to take those in separate calls for each institution. We see Analytics Hub, of course, was added. That was a pretty big announcement post InstructureCon. So we have that available as well. Inbox add signature to messages for all users, and then add auto response to messages for all users. Also, nice changes for some of the communication modes within Canvas. Intelligent Insights shows up in the release notes as a new feature. This is actually a promo into the premium or the new product line that gives more control over customizing reports. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the side. I'll actually have a separate theme for this. I know I don't like to go too much into on office hours into areas or items that may cost extra, but Intelligent Insights has some nice integration features that I do want to cover a little bit in one of our themes here in the upcoming months. Module and assignment differentiation for the instructors is available, and then pages assigned to feature available is also available for the instructors as well. Some additional changes for assignments as far as assigning to or into the interface there. Admin Analytics, as we mentioned, received some updates for navigation. The top navigation LTI button also was modified there for feature options. Rubrics continues to see changes as we move forward in the product roadmap for enhancing rubrics and outcomes, especially for those in higher education. Happy to have good discussions about that. I think there's some great potential here on the horizon with some of the changes that are coming for outcomes and rubrics. We talk about syllabus a little bit more. Other updates, so Admin Analytics and the course Analytics migration to Data Access Platform, the DAP. There's also a DAP has been added for Canvas Data 2 users, which is a free service that has been added into the Admin Analytics page. I'm sorry, the Analytics Hub page, kind of your central one-stop shop for all analytics at the account level. We see, again, a few changes around announcements and discussions. So I wanted to talk about the some of the information surrounding the July release and some of the changes we made to assignments, discussions, and quizzes, specifically to the assign to option and functionality. We have had feedback, well, a great deal of feedback and concern. I definitely have heard you, especially in all the states I work with, but that feedback has been applied to product. Product has now responded, so we do have a blog post. It was published at the end of July, referencing the changes that were made in that release. I've linked to it here in the slide deck. I'll also link to it in the newsletter. Please take a look at that. This is referencing a rollback or reversion to before these changes were rolled out in July. That's going to be done sometime in August. I don't have a date on that yet. I know that our development team, our product team are aggressively working on this to revert back. I know because fall start is now in full swing here in the next few weeks. We're going to have our peak time of return to classes. So we're going to be on top of that. I don't have any new information yet. Again, continue to send your feedback. It is being heard. Again, referencing this response from product, we are looking to make those changes or revert those changes back at some point during the month of August. So we got a lot of stuff going on there. Very busy from July. Big things from July that I really want to focus on, and I'm going to have these conversations in our monthly calls as we schedule these or just interactions. For some schools, we don't have a monthly call, but I will be scheduling a quarterly business review. One of my objectives here as customer success manager in the region is to make sure that everyone receives quarterly. So every 3 months or so, we're going to have a business review. And in that time, I definitely want to take a look at data, reporting, figure out what you guys need, what can be helpful for the institution, and take a look at our utilization of Canvas kind of across the board. So I'm real big on an audit process. I love to take a look at, especially if you've had a configuration a certain way for a very long time. My questions are going to be why, and because we see over time, especially with your online courses, you have to be able to adapt. Things are always changing. I know there's lots of, oftentimes we have our hands tied from the institution level, but I'm really big on taking a look at configurations and answering some of the questions of why do we have it configured this way, and can we do it better? Can we make modifications? Can we make changes that are going to help reduce work for administrators, and then long-term help put more resources in the hands of instructors, because that is going to reduce also more time for them coming to you with questions. So that's my big focus as a customer success manager. Those are my objectives. I want to learn more about yours, so we'll do that over time. Again, I'm very excited to be with you as your customer success manager. I'm going to continue to reach out here over the next few weeks to schedule those calls and to get to know you all. But again, feel free to my email address, so I'll put it on the screen for you all. Feel free to email me with questions. I'm just about caught up from the transition. I know I'm a little behind on email. I'm working through that. Should be caught up after this week. That's why I've had some time finally to put together this webinar. Again, by tomorrow, we'll be sending out the links and bookmarks or calendar invitations for our office hours, which will be once a month. I'm planning on doing it next week, so it'll probably be the third or fourth week of each month. We'll figure out a time, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday for the states. Actually, I have 4 different states now, so we'll probably have 4 different days of office hours for each state. So thank you, guys. More resources in the newsletter, the email. I'm going to have resources to the YouTube channel where we're going to store these videos. You guys can use them as reference. I'm going to bookmark these into the email, into our newsletter. And I still have many, many follow-ups to do for so many of you that I've had calls with. It's been fantastic to meet you. Appreciate your patience. It's been quite the transition period. So I'm getting on stuff. If I've told you I'm going to follow up, I will follow up. So we'll be in touch here in the next week or so again with communication. But thank you guys so much. It's been a warm welcome. I'm glad to be back in the Southeast region working with the schools, some of the schools I worked with before, but also a bunch of new schools that I'm excited to work with. So you guys take care. Let us know if you need anything.